Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let's begin the session. And the subject is ethanol blending, green methanol, biofuels for the green economy. There are three ingredients. The first and second are virtually the elder sister and the younger sister. The third one is a monster in itself, biofuels, whose dimensions, length, breadth, height is not known, because its potential is only a matter of imagination and estimation. So let's look at where we are. The ethanol mixing has been what you call as a important area or important agenda before the government, and started with the way back in 2001, rather even before 2001, when this policy was decided in 1995. From that time onwards, efforts are on how to reduce the consumption of fossil fuel, especially the oil, petrol, diesel, and the gas. And then there came the different ideas. And the first major thrust was in 2001, when there was that there should be blending of 5% ethanol in the petrol. And then this continued, and in 2014, this 5,000 was raised to 10%. And subsequently now it has been raised to 20% by 2025. In other words, it says that we keep on adding ethanol in the petrol up to the limit where the petrol says no. And it has already come to the level of 20%, beyond which it may be difficult to increase. Now, ethanol in India comes from two main sources. One is the sugarcane molasses. Second is the agro waste of the rice broke and the rice, what you call the residual of the rice processing. And the total production is roughly around 1,000 crore liters, of which 700 comes from the molasses, and the balance 337 comes from the grain-based, that is grain-based. The economy, somehow one has to understand the economics of ethanol with the India's polity, India's pressure groups, and the role of farmers in the Indian polity. Yes. Ethanol comes from sugarcane. As I said, molasses is 70% of the total production. This 70% comes from sugarcane, and the sugarcane lobby in UP, Maharashtra, Andhra, Tamil Nadu. In these states, they control a substantial chunk of the votes. So they decide, and it is their pressure which leads to this molasses and this ethanol business. Now somebody would say, "Bhai, ganna to paida ho hi raha hai, sugar bhi ban rahi hai, then why oppose ethanol?" The idea is not to oppose ethanol. What happens is, when you grow sugarcane, the amount of water which you consume per kg of sugarcane, you consume 3 liters of water per kg of sugarcane. So to the extent you are consuming ethanol through sugarcane route, you are destroying your fresh water resource, which is going to be a serious problem 5 years down the line if we do not manage our water management. That is the precipitation, which because of the global warming or climatic changes, the precipitation or the rainfall is now getting concentrated over a shorter period and with larger intensity, with the result more than 70% of it just flows down the land and is lost for use, which is all sweet water. So therefore, few years down the line, a call has to be taken how much ethanol and at what cost, whether to continue with ethanol. So long ethanol is from the agro waste, from the crops waste, it is good and it is welcome, because that crop waste is in any case going to come. But if there is a shortage of water and there is a change in the cropping pattern, the irrigation rates are revised, the cropping pattern changes in favor of less water-intensive crops as compared to the present ones, which are highly water-intensive, because we use the flood irrigation and we don't care how much water is going, waste, how much is evaporating and how much is going into, drop is getting converted into the crop. So this is little about methanol, ethanol. I am not against ethanol, but this is the, what you call as the upper limit of ethanol. Technically 20% till the petrol says no. Economically, financially, commercially, till you have a water shortage and your cropping pattern undergoes a change. Now coming to methanol, methanol is again a derivative obtained during the gasification of coal when you temper it with water under high pressure and steam. You get methanol, which is a low carbon hydrogen fuel. It is extracted from coal which has a relatively higher ash content through the different technologies depending on the ash content of the coal. The higher the ash content, higher is the temperature, lower is the ash content, lower is the temperature and pressure needed to extract. This is about the source. Ethanol, we have abundant coal. All we need is to process to have the coal gasification to extract methanol and to have gasification plants close to the mine, close to the water source and close to the user, so that the cost and problems of transportation of hydrogen are taken care of and the transportation cost is minimized. So these are 4 important factors. And then of course, while getting methanol, you also get hydrogen, because there is a hydrogen mission also in the process. And the hydrogen, again, hydrogen obtained in the gasification process, we say is hydrogen obtained from the electrolysis of water using renewable energy, that is solar and wind. Now, looking at the renewable energy, there are constraints. Firstly, you must have the electrolyzers. Secondly, the electrolyzer size. Secondly, the quantum. कितने electrolyzer लगेंगे? कितना demineralized water लगेगा electrolysis में? And what will be the impact of that electrolyzer plus the metals or the materials going into the manufacture of the solar cells? Because the turbine blades also use some of the rare earth materials, and the silicon wafers, they also use certain metals which we import. So to what extent we can import and manufacture solar cells to provide that scale of solar energy, which may be, as you said yesterday, may be of the order of some 17 times the existing one. And similarly, the wind turbine blade, they also have a limitation. And when one works out the level of efficiency, the quantity, the availability, the reliability, and various factors of green hydrogen, that is hydrogen obtained from electrolysis of water, vis-a-vis the hydrogen obtained from the coal gasification process. The hydrogen obtained from the coal gasification process turns out to be much cheaper than the gas obtained from the electrolysis of water. So this is all about the renewable, and within renewable, the ethanol and methanol. Methanol, there is a limit that up till now it can be used up to 15%. And similarly, it can also be used up to 15% in the LPG. So to that extent, that means the LPG import can be reduced up to the extent of 15% to the extent it is blended, and there can be a savings in foreign exchange and have the energy security and all related advantages. Then another advantage is this methanol is biodegradable. And in the Northeast, they have introduced a canister, methanol canister, as a fuel, what you call as a, जैसे यहाँ Indian cylinder आता है, और Northeast में they have Northeast में और UP के कुछ districts में they have introduced a pilot for 1 lakh houses. हैं? नाम पता नहीं वो it's a basically a methanol canister. So this has its own advantages, and methanol can be made from the organic cellulosic material apart from being extracted from the coal gasification. And the upper limit, as I said, is to the extent the petrol can tolerate. And biofuel, of course, is something which is for which in India there is a very, very wide scope, and one really doesn't know where it begins and where it ends. Because you see in the waste to energy, there is a problem on first the collection of the waste, second the segregation of the waste, which is the most important part and due to which most of the equipment imported and installed at the waste to energy projects is not operating or is operating at a very, very low efficiency level. The reason is the segregation of waste is not up to the mark. That means it is not as per specification which the machine wants. And secondly, first is the quantity, second is the collection process, third is you do not know how much will be available. If one goes even to the biogas or the gobar gas or the bio-CNG, all these factors, this varies from state to state, district to district, depending on the level of animal husbandry, depending on the behavior of the people, the farmers, how much cow dung or the buffalo dung or bullock dung they collect and remit it to the collection center, and then it comes to the processing unit. Secondly, the processing unit itself is quite expensive and it's not viable for smaller quantities. In smaller quantities also, who is going to invest? That is the biggest question. The municipalities don't have the funds. Who is to invest? And then even if there is an investor, who will look after that investment and make sure that the investment is returned, or there is a return to investor on the investment. So these are the few practical ground level problems of biofuel, which acts well at a community level, at a small where the people are forward looking. There is awareness, there is awakening, and there is a feeling that the community should, as a whole, should do something to solve the energy problem. Otherwise, this remains somewhere, some government agency puts up a plant, gets the collection, and starts the process. As far as the quantum is concerned, in India, the sky is the limit. There is so much of material, or what you call as a waste. Even the urban waste is of very substantial quantity, but again, the problem is how to tap it. The Ghar Ghar Nal Jal Yojana hai, you take the water to the home. Now that water, hardly 20% is retained, 80% goes back. It is discharged as waste. Now that water needs to be treated. And along with that water, there is a urban what you call as a liquid waste and different types of waste that also needs to be handled and harnessed. So there is no dearth of the raw material, input and technology available, but there is a need for a common awareness and to how to handle it, not in my backyard or not in near my backyard. Because wherever you put this waste to energy or waste treatment plant, there is a foul smell. And nobody wants that smell to be in the neighborhood. Then how to put them and how to make them operational on a larger scale, beyond the gobar gas plant. So that's what my feeling is. Now I would like to hear the learned speakers. May I begin in the order in which they are given with Mr. Bandyopadhyay? Okay, Sangeeta ji, you start, please.